What's up, y'all? It's your boy Sean P back again with another edition of Hip Hop Roundtable Reviews. So today we are finally going to discuss the moment we've all been waiting for this summer, and that's the arrival and official review of the new Clipse album, Let God Sort 'Em Out. This album has had an aggressive rollout, I would say, for the last 6 weeks to 2 months or so, with a lot of online talk, online banter, a lot of, uh, I guess, media hype around, the Louis Vuitton fashion show, a lot of high name, high class hip hop artists being linked to this album, from Jay-Z to Nas to controversies on verses and leaving labels over 2 years to, beefs, satellite beefs from Drake with Travis Scott and Jim Jones. And it's finally here. The 13 cut album finally dropped this Friday. And we're going to do what we do. I'm going to get right to it. We're going to talk about what I liked, what I didn't like, and we're going to sum it up in the end. So, let God sort them out. Let's pull up the track list. Let's go right to it. All right. Hold on a minute. Let me get back to my StreamYard. Just bear with me for a minute here. I don't know why it's not working, but I'll pull it up and then I'll probably get it from. Okay, so what did I like? And I'll work through it on this to share my screen. What did I like? I did like the media rollout process with this. I think it was a strength that the Clipse went through all the media outlets, all the major podcasts, from Joe Budden podcast to the Breakfast Club to Jada and Joe to, I don't even know if they did. I don't even know if they did Drink Champs, but they did it all in the end of the day. And real talk, like, I'm really impressed with how they did that. Like, they did an old school, I would say, an old school media rollout where they did press, they did interviews online, you know what I mean? And they really showed a personal side, and personal and introspective side of themselves, that really let you know how personal the album was to them and how much time they put into this. As now I finally have the playlist up. But I really like the media rollout. Now, the media rollout did get some controversy around it because Pusha T said some things on the relationship with Kanye West, on his relationship with Travis Scott, the good music era, if you will, that ruffled a lot of feathers. It upset, younger hip hop fans who are fans of Travis Scott. Of course, it upset, the Drake nation of Drake, I would say, Drake fans, and also the Kanye West fan base, which has a really very big fan base. But the thing I like about it is he was real. Like, he told his side of it. He told why he didn't like these artists, and I relate to him. I mean, if he was in those positions, it really, I would do the same thing. I really like how he expressed his personal side, and people were calling it, clout chasing and all of this. But those that call it clout chasing, you're just ignorant. You're not ignorant to the whole story. You're not really listening to what he's saying overall. You know what I mean? uh, they didn't need to say all of that. You know what I mean? Because they're doing all these media outlets anyway, and they really showed a good introspective side of them that where they came off as personal. You know what I mean? Especially Malice talking about his struggle, between his relationship with the Lord and going to being saved, a saved Christian, and coming back to rapping about the drug game. You know what I mean? And that struggle was seen all throughout this album, which I'll get to in a minute. So I like that. I love the production. Now, some people have criticized production. I haven't heard a lot of bad criticisms of the production, and then, mind you, this is Pharrell that produced this album alone. Chad Hugo was not part of this project. It was all Pharrell's beats, and I like this version of Pharrell. This version of Pharrell has an edge to it. This album had a darker tone. I wouldn't say a more street tone, but it had an edgy tone to it. You know what I mean? I would almost say it reminds me of more of a Kanye West album, believe it or not. But I did not know Pharrell had this type of edgy type of production behind him. Pharrell's always been light with his beats, I thought. Not a lot of hard bass lines, you know what I mean? One of his hardest beats I could remember was like Knock Yourself Out. That was like one of the hardest, like beat knocking beats that he had, you know what I mean? That was a club and a street banger. But he never really he catered to more the radio side of things. This is a hip hop produced album. This is more along the lines of uh, an album that an Alchemist would make. Uh, I would say a RZA, Kanye West to a degree. And I did not see this side of Pharrell, and I like this. I want to see more of this production of Pharrell, who honestly, this kind of and Pharrell, he's one of the all-time GOAT producers. He's in that conversation with Dr. Dre, RZA, Kanye, Primo, all of those. But he was always like the tier down to me. He was like more in the Swizz Beats tier or of producers. I think Alchemist has passed him over the years. But now this opens up the conversation, because if he's going to do more albums like with this much, with these edgy type of beats that have more of a bite to it, I like this version of Pharrell. I want to see more. So I got to give a nod to the production. And the one thing that I noticed with this album is that this was not so much quote unquote drug or coke rap. They did talk about that, but they more referenced that anecdotally. Like a lot of these songs, this was boss up rap. This was high level, aggressive, lyrical hip hop. It was more fly. I mean, it made me feel like this is more an international album. It made me feel like they were in Europe, making this album. It had an international flair to it. It had a level of extravagance to this. You know what I mean? If you want to call it high level hustler talk, high level dope boy music. And it had concepts. It had, which I'm gonna get to in the song reviews, what have you. And it was aggressive. It was just aggressive lyrically. Um, the features were aggressive, which is what I'm gonna get to next, because the features were A1. I mean, they had first off, Kendrick Lamar, maybe arguably the verse of the year. But I'm gonna be honest with you, Tyler the Creator might have stole the show, where he almost comes with a direct shot at Kanye West. You know what I mean? So he's one that came with something on there. And of course, I gotta go to the Nas feature on Chandeliers with the beat switch, and then Nas comes in and just cleans up. You know what I mean? The only thing is, I wish Nas's verse was a little bit longer, but man, these features are A1. Ab Liva, we haven't heard from in a long time, killed it. Stove God Cooks was good. It would be good that he rapped because I wanted to hear more of a rap than a hook. And I think John Legend, who's wishy-washy on some hooks, he delivered. He delivered on that. I think Pharrell was pretty good with his ad libs and his singing on here. So the features were A1. You know what I mean? So that's another one right there. Okay, let's get to the songs and let's break down. So what did I like? The Birds Don't Sing. Now, see, this is a type of song that you usually close out an album with. This was the most personal, heartfelt song. It was a tribute to their mother and father. It was introspective. It was one where they showed how proud they were of their parents, their mom and their dad. Um, I think Malice talked about his father. Pusha talked about his mother. It was really deep. It's a deep record. It's one of those records you close out with because it's the most personal record. So, and I've heard people say one of the criticisms is that the song selection, the song order. I think it was masterful starting off this because they really wanted to say where that told where they came from, really. And I really thought the personal side was a great way to start it off. Then we get into the action. We go right into Chains and Whips, which arguably is the hardest, most edgy song of the year. Jim Jones direct shot at Pusha T taking direct shots at Jim Jones for his comments how many years ago that he doesn't belong on the top 50 list, which I think that Jim Jones interview was quote unquote Drake beef induced because of his affiliation with OVO and Drake, and they were hanging out close at that time, which is almost like 2 years ago now. And that verse has a lot of venom. Now, what I will say is, I wanted to get to this. Jim Jones, I'm not sorry, I'm mixing up Jim Jones and Pusha, but Pusha T really didn't come at Jim Jones back off of the freestyle that Jim Jones did. I think he kind of just let this one rock on Chains and Whips, as opposed to coming with another song that could go back as a rebuttal to Jim Jones. I was surprised at that. I think maybe later on some of the songs like Chandeliers, he took a couple of light shots at Jim Jones. But I was surprised that Pusha didn't respond to that. But honestly, Chains and Whips is so effective. I don't really think nothing more needs to be said. And with Jim Jones' crash out and how he's embarrassed himself to the hip hop world, I don't think anything more needs to be said. I read somewhere that he thought that he didn't really. I read somewhere that he thinks that Travis Scott would be the bigger artist, but he said he'd still listen to the Clipse album. All right, so you're gonna listen to a person that's openly gonna diss you now? So he's all over the place. You know what I mean? So we get to Chains and Whips. Then POV. Now, this is going to be the song on the album that's going to grow on you the most. You know what I mean? Like, at first, you're going to be like, this is hard, but this arguably could be the hardest song on the album. Like, Tyler, the Creator, came with such venom on here. This is one of his hardest verses. And what gets lost in the shuffle is Tyler the Creator is a hard feature artist. Like as a feature artist, he delivers. I remember on the Griselda, what was it, the West Side Gun album a few years ago. He delivered on. He delivers on a lot of projects, man. When it comes to feature verses, and he crushed it on that. That's a hard record. Um, of course, So Be It and Ace Trumpets. Now, there was supposed to be a So Be It 2, which I hear are on some versions. I think on the Apple iTunes version, there's a So Be It Part 2. I haven't heard that yet, but I'm glad they put the original So Be It on here. That has been one of the most talked about songs of this year, arguably the hardest record of this year, next to Ace Trumpets. Definitely check my review out on So Be It on Hip Hop Roundtable Reviews. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. So there's that. I think all things considered, I'm feeling. You know what I mean? I'm definitely feeling that one. I think Pharrell on there adds an eerie type of vibe to it. You know what I mean? And another song after that is the MTB TTF, where I think that's the hardest MC joint on there. They really show their MC skills on that. It's just you go in the booth and you just spit. I mean, I don't want to say rapidy rap, but this is the rap song on there. Like if you want to hear hard bars, they go in on this. This arguably is the hardest record on there. Then I'll go to FICO. I love Inglorious Bastards. I love the horns on that beat, the bounce to it. That's a good one. And another one, of course, Chandeliers, man. Like God Sort Them Out, Chandeliers, where this is one of the hardest beats on the album, where Pusha and Malice just go at it. You know what I mean? And then Nas just cleans up the song. He just cleans it out on some real boss level shit. That right there is what you call boss hip hop. Where Nas, I'm gonna let you listen to it. Nas just comes in there like you could tell he's a GOAT. Like this is what GOATs do. They come in there and just clean this up. You know what I mean? So those are the songs like I really liked on there. You know what I mean? As far as like who outdid who and who out rapped who, I don't know, man. I'm listening to a lot of the commentary on this. Some people think this is Pusha's best lyrical joint. Some people are saying Malice out rapped him on this. I'll say this. What I like about this, I don't know. I'm gonna be politically correct and say it's a tie because I think Malice basically comes with an introspective and a personal side where you hear his struggle with the streets and God throughout the whole album. And I think that's great. That where do I go? You know what I mean? And you could hear his struggle in it. So I would even give the slight edge to Malice on there, even though Pusha took up the majority of the bar work on this album. But Pusha killed it, man. Pusha over this year, Pusha has upped to him on my greatest MC list. I may be ready to say this guy is arguably, top 30 all time because his body of work is impeccable. And this is a feather in the cap, We're gonna talk about this. I'm gonna do a separate podcast as where Clipse lines up all time as a group or a duo. They're up on the list. You're going to have to place them higher on the list, definitely after this project, because their body of work is damn near flawless. You know what I mean? Pusha's body of work is damn near flawless. I don't know many weak hip hop albums they got. But that's another topic for another day. So, what did I not like about this album? Only one song, and I'm not gonna say I didn't like it. I just don't think it fit the concept of the album. Was EBITDA. It had like a nice bounce to it. It was cool, you know what I mean? But I don't think that it really fit the tone of the album, which was more of a dark, harder, um, edgy tone to it. You know what I mean? Maybe you could have replaced that with a "So Be It" part two at the end. I don't know, but it was still a decent song. It wasn't bad. You know what I mean? I just didn't think it fit the tone of the album. And get ready, y'all. I'm going to contradict myself now. You know, I'm a big fan of short albums. I'm saying 10 to 13 cuts max for albums, right? And here we go. We got a 13 cut album, right? But I wanted to hear more. I'm sorry. There was a little bit left to be desired as far as the length of this. You could have put another 2 songs on here and made it around 15. Because most of the songs, if you see the playlist, were under 3 minutes. You know what I mean? Uh you had some 4 minute songs, but you had some 2 minute joints, 2 minute and 30. I mean, you probably average out the songs are probably about 2 minutes and 40 seconds. You know what I mean? And it's nitpick stuff. Like Nas's feature could have been longer. I would have liked to see a Jay-Z verse on here, but you should never criticize an album for what's not on here and what's only rumored. So, but outside of that, I'm nitpicking, man. This is definitely a top level album. I mean, right now, it's um it's easily the album of the year. I'll get to my reading in a minute, but just to bring it back home, this album impressed me. It made me, it lived up to the expectation and the rollout that I really liked. And I really think they did a really good job on this album. This album was worth the wait. I mean, it's if I was going to make it a movie analogy, it would probably be the Sinners of this year. If we want to make a movie analogy, being Sinners is the best box office hit of this year, and it definitely had a album of the year feel to it. You know what I mean? Now let's get to the media perception. Like, honestly, the only people that are criticizing this, and no surprise, are like Drake fans and more the younger fans of um, younger hip hop fans. Like, for example, I mean, I'll just show. Hold on a minute. I'll just show as soon as I get my get this up real quick. I only see people criticize this album who are on the Drake side of things, where they said it was weak. Um, Hold on a minute. I'll show you this one post from this one guy. Um, this one guy on in a couple of the hip hop blog groups saying, you know, the Clipse album is straight trash. But look at the date. It's like July 10th. So the dude didn't even hear the album, and already they're saying the Clipse album is trash from a dude named OVO Tommy. So, gee, I wonder what guy he likes to listen to. You know what I mean? So overall, it's just really Drake fans that are really upset about this and want to throw shade on it. I did hear that Travis Scott is releasing his compilation album on Sunday. I don't know why he just didn't put it out on Friday, but they're releasing it on Sunday. But yeah, you know, most of the media outlets are really behind this album. I'm hearing a lot of strong reviews from it online on in YouTube world, YouTube land. Joe Budden podcast had some really nice things to say about it. I would say this is for the the hip hop culture crowd. This one is for the 30 and up. You know what I mean? But I mean, the 30 and under, they're a lot of them like to pick a side. Like I talked in my hip hop divided vlog that I did a couple weeks ago, that I don't know if the younger hip hop audiences are going to embrace this album. They may listen to it, they may like some songs, but we all know that those that are getting involved in streamer culture, you know what I mean, they're only going to listen for bops. They're not going to listen to an introspective, album, a real hip hop album. I don't know what the streamer community is going to say. I don't know what Kai Cenat is going to say about this, but I don't see Kai Cenat really rocking to this. You know what I mean? So there may be a divide there, but as far as media perception, it's getting good reviews. You know what I mean? So a lot of people are lining up that this really meets the expectation. So what are we going to go with as far as a rating is concerned? I'm going with a solid 9 out of 10 with room to grow. Could this be classic? I'm not going to go there yet. It could be a 9.5. It could be 9.8, whatever. I don't know. I got to see how it grows. I've listened to it 6 times already. I'm already rewinding tracks over and over again. Yeah, I'm going with a solid, strong 9 out of 10. And I think they definitely delivered so far the album of the year. I don't know what's going to top this. Raekwon comes out next week in the Mass Appeal series. Nas and Primo are coming out. Of course, there's the rumored Iceman album from Drake. I don't know what to expect with that. You know what I mean? And given I'm trying to be objective with Drake as much as possible to say that, okay, this is going to be the comeback album. So maybe he is coming with something. I'm going to do a more in-depth review of his Drake's new song. What did I miss? I did, last week I just did a quick take on it as soon as it dropped. But yeah, right now this is pole position. Let God Sort Him Out is definitely pole position this year, and nothing is coming close. Now, what you're going to get is the GNX, versus Let God Sort Him Out comparisons. Right now, I still have to go and give the edge to GNX because GNX has that hardcore, real hip hop, and it's got those bangers. He's got those radio singles. I don't see many radio singles on this album, but this is a hip hop album, pure and pure as it comes. You know what I mean? And I don't know who's going to top it. You know what I mean? Nas and Primo, maybe. I don't know if Kendrick drops again. Is Hove coming back? I don't know. And I see an album like this getting a lot of critical acclaim, a lot of Grammy praise. I do see this being in the Grammy conversation at the end of this year, and maybe a few cuts. Like they work with a lot of artists that Grammy likes: John Legend, Kendrick Lamar, Tyler the Creator, and Nas. Grammy likes nominating those out. They like Pharrell. This can get Grammy praise. So this is going to be the talked about album of the year for a long time until somebody proves otherwise, and it is not pole position. So Let God Sort Him Out. Clipse, 9 out of 10 I'm going with. You tell me in the comments, what do you think? Did it live up to your expectations? Did it fall a little short? What did you think about Pharrell's production? Were you impressed by it as I was? Or did you not like it? I mean, let me know in the comments. So yeah, we're gonna try and come back with some more cast this week. You know what I mean? But until then, check this album out. Let God sort them out. Clipse. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. And definitely make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I'm trying to get those likes up. If you like the content and the commentary, definitely give me a like here and there. Trying to get some more subs up and get to over 300. You know, it's a slow crawl, but we got to start somewhere. So with that, enjoy the rest of y'all weekend, and I'll talk to y'all soon. All right, peace.